All right, hey, this is Matt from Mad Matt's Garage YouTube channel. Here is my channel, and I just really wanted to share this wiring and electronics installation accessories here on my Can-Am Maverick R, just because I really like the setup. And I had an X3, for maybe 5 years or so, and did all the wiring on that, and the wiring was a total rat's nest on that buggy. It all worked fine, but this came out a lot cleaner, and it was lessons learned from that car. So when I got this car, I just got this like 2 weeks ago, and yeah, it's thrilling to change from the X3 to this Maverick R. It's awesome. Absolutely love the transmission and the suspension on it. Phenomenal, in my words. But we're not talking about that. Maybe I'll do another video on what I think of the differences are in the handling comparisons and the drivability between the R and the X3. So I'm going to talk about the wiring today. And so what was really cool about this, a couple things, is one of the main things is these tubes are all hollow, and it's hollow down at the end here, and your connections for your battery are right up under here, and they have an auxiliary post here, so that's key on power, and then you have direct to battery power post in here, these two posts right here. And so I'm going to show you where I put all my electrical, but one is fed to ignition and the other is fed to battery. So once I get up there, my different accessories, like for example, I've got my light bar straight to the battery on a relay. Everything else is on ignition because I would be that typical guy to leave my radio on overnight and kill my battery. Pretty much everybody I know who wired their radio straight to the battery so they could use their radio while their buggy's turned off has sooner or later killed their battery by forgetting to turn it off. So I definitely don't. I would like the ability to use the radio cars off, and I'm sure there's ways to do it, house battery or things like that. But anyway, I wired mine to ignition. So up one of these posts here, on one side I've got the battery wires, and that's just some 12 volt, some nice 12 volt cable like this stuff right here. Okay, is what I ran up there, and I want to share the key to it because I've done a lot of custom wiring through tubes, mostly on motorcycles actually, but through the handlebars and hidden wiring and whatnot. So I'm pretty familiar with a lot of the techniques to pull wires through a tube, by blowing a string through there with compressed air, and then pulling. You can pull a pull cable up if you need to. And that kind of thing. So when I went to do this, I started with these holes up here in the top. You can see my wire popping out of here, and I tried to blow a string down there, and I probably spent 20 minutes trying to blow a string out of the end of this tube, and it just wouldn't work. I couldn't get it to come through, and I was getting frustrated. And I finally got a coat hanger stuff down through there when I pulled the wire from the top down. And this is the part I want to share with everybody, so you don't waste time trying that. I'm going to tell you how to do it way easier. That seemed like the logical method to me. And start in the hole, got the coat hanger to poke through down here. Finally, there's a step in here where this bung's welded in, so that wasn't that easy. But got to poke through, and then when I pulled the wire through, the wire got caught right in here to the point where it shredded the wire completely. So there's some sort of sharp edge at the top of this bung or something going on that will not let you pull wire from the top down. So that was the key. I probably wasted an hour, and I was almost ready to give up. And then I just took this wire here, no string, no air, no coat hanger, no nothing, and I went up from the bottom. I just stuck it up in the bottom, and it slid right up the tube. And then it pops up in that hole, and I grab it with a little loop with a coat hanger. That easy. Took 2 minutes doing it in that direction. So that's the key. I don't know why. I don't know what's in here exactly. I'm a little concerned there's a sharp edge down in there. was considering blowing some urethane foam in there to keep that wire from chafing, but we'll see what happens. It's actually easy enough to replace. And I've got inline fuses down here where they're connected on either side. So we get a short here, then that fuse is going to pop, and that'll be my telltale that something's going on in there after we beat the crap out of it. So what I wanted to show you here is I'm going to go around to the driver's side. So I mounted my radios on the ceiling. That's how I like them, and I'm going to tell you why. Alright, so here's my radio up on the ceiling up here, alright, and my intercom. So there's a lot of reasons I like this for ergonomics sake, is because I can actually see this display. I've got friends with their radios all down here on their X3s and whatnot, and for me, you know, I need bifocals to read, so I have to actually lean down, and with my seatbelt on, I can't lean down and read the display. So I can't change channels on my radio when it's down here, not very easily. I've seen all kinds of other installations where people can't change the channel while they're strapped into their driver's seat. This is pointed right, angled down and angled back right to my face. I just tilt my head back. Again, I wear bifocals, and bingo, I can operate the radio, completely read it. Same thing with the intercom. It's facing me, and I can read the controls, and it's right here. Easy to operate. And also, they don't get wet up here. So when I wash my buggy, you know, the water pours down off this roof edge right down on your radios on the X3s. I didn't care for that at all, right? So I've always had them up in the ceiling for those two reasons, and love it up there. So the big thing about the Maverick R here, when I did it, is I run those power cables up these two front posts, and now I've got switched power and unswitched power up here behind this plate. And I'm going to do another video and tack it onto this one of this plate hanging down. So it's got these 4 soft mount points, which I'll show you in the next little segment there. And I can drop the whole plate down. It hangs from these, those are just temporarily zip ties. Plate hangs down. I can work on the back side of it. When it's all done, I just rotate it back up, put these screws in. A little bit of a pain to get the screws started, but not too bad. So here's actually my Baja lights. Those are unswitched, straight to battery. I won't leave those on by accident because I can tell I left them on. This is actually a dash cam that I run, front and rear cameras. There's a nice video on my YouTube channel. It's called Dual Rollover at Glamis that I captured with my rear camera. So that's why I like running that dash cam. It's actually a motorcycle dash cam with a front and rear camera. But you never know what you're going to capture when something happens to your buddies that are following you in the dunes. Or when something happens to you. But I really like this plate. I put all the electrical up here. I did not put a separate fuse panel. I just have the 2 inline fuses up front. You could, though, you know, if you want to mount a fuse panel right here where you can access it so you don't have to go behind your seat. That was the other thing I didn't like about the X3, is the seats are really difficult to move, as you all know. I kind of fixed that, but on mine, we won't get into that mod. But anyway, really hard to get to the fuse box, hard to work on it, hard to just change a fuse. And you had a ton of wire running down the center tunnel from up here back to the fuse panel behind the seat. And then I had relays back there to turn on all the lights, and then all that wiring ran back up the roll cage tube. And on the X3 it went on the outside of my roll cage tube, so I had all this wire and all these zip ties. It was ugly. So when I started thinking about the Maverick R, look, my Baja lights are on the roof, right? My radio antenna is on the roof. My dash cam is up on the roof. The dash cam front camera is up on the roof. My intercom's up on the roof. My lighted whips are going to be up on the roof. So 80% of the wiring's up in the roof. So really short, neat wiring going from the main wiring panel up here, if you will, back to all those items. I also had some scare lights on the back. They were up on the roof. I got a rear camera for the dash cam. That will get wired from through the top roll cage back down through the bed in the back. So the only light I'm going to put down here on this switch is going to be one that's going to go on the front Baja bumper that I'm going to put. There'll be a smaller Baja light up there. But for all those reasons, just the ergonomics of the radio use, and the fact that all the wiring's in the roof, and the fact that you can run the power up here through these tubes, and also have one other set of wiring running up here through these tubes. I'm trying to remember what it was for now, but you're able to get more wires through this tube than just the one main power wire, and it wasn't that difficult. So that's it basically for the roof mounted plate. I forget the dimensions right off, but it's just an aluminum plate, and then I kicked up the edges 1.5 inch by 45 degrees. The distance between these tubes was 15 inches, and then just take a measurement right there, see how long you want to make your plate, and really simple, just 2 bends in it, flat plate, and there you go. Can-Am Maverick R, really neat hidden wiring up the tubes, roof mounted radio install. Okay, just to add to that a little bit, you can see up in these corners the wire inside of there, and up on this side barely see it. So when you come up the vertical, you can thread it into the hole here to come across, and then there's a small hole in here, and so that was tough, but it's doable. I got it done, threaded the wire up here, then there's a hole in the back of here, and I was able to take a screwdriver and jam that wire through that hole and get it pulled through. That's how I made that happen. So again, there's one on either side. I got a switched and an unswitched battery, come one up the right tube, driver side, and one up the passenger side tubes. And then there's my passenger push to talk. Again, it's up in the top, so all this wiring goes right up into the plate, behind the plate. So it's all very well concealed in here again. I'm really happy with the roof plate and how simple the wiring is compared to my X3 with the panel behind the seat. Didn't really care for that at all. And again, if you want to add a fuse panel here, I thought about it. You certainly could. And then it's right there. If you want to change a fuse, it's right there for you. Very accessible. Okay, that's it. All right, yeah, one more little segment here. I was mentioning that you can run more than just the one power wire through the tube, and I had another pair of wires through here, and I couldn't remember what it was for. Okay, I just remembered what it's for, and it's something else I definitely want to show you that I worked out on this buggy. So that was for the driver push-to-talk. Okay, and I ran into another issue on the Maverick R that I want to share with you on that driver push-to-talk for my rugged intercom, right? So the issue here is on the X3, you just had that little coiled cable, and you Velcro your push-to-talk button to your steering wheel, and then you just had this coiled loop hanging down going up wherever. Well, that just doesn't work here because these paddle shifters are just a big hook, and no matter what I did, when you spin that wheel around, that thing just hooks that wire, and wasn't working. So how did they get the wiring through to these switches here? Well, pretty cool, pretty simple. So if you look inside this wheel here, their wiring, the OEM wiring, goes in here, and then it goes around this spool inside of here. If you look behind here, you'll see where it's spooled. Well, I just copied them. There was enough room in there. I took the push-to-talk switch for the rugged radio, and I snipped it and lengthened it, and then I went in here and I did a couple loops around there. I think I did 2 on the outside of the OEM wiring, and now it's through the wheel. So and it comes out down here and goes up under the plastic and up the tube, and now I got super clean push to talk. So here's where I tied it down. You can see a nice little stainless steel wire tie I got on it, and that's the trick. you want to get your push-to-talk on your steering wheel and a Maverick R, and that's what you got to do. But so far so good. I mean, I've put a few hundred miles on it, and it's working okay, not tangling up on me, and just duplicates exactly what the OEM wiring does. So there you go. There's another little trick on your Maverick R on how to get that push-to-talk onto your steering wheel. All right, guys. Okay, in this quick segment, I just wanted to show the radio plate that I've been installing in my Maverick R, hanging down in its servicing position. So I'm going to show you the mounting of this thing also. So up here on my roll cage, I've got 4 of these Axia alloys, and these cages are 2 inches, these top tubes. So the 2-inch clamps with these base units, I call them here. It's got the 6mm hole in there. There's a 6mm nylock nut inside of there, and those are from Axia alloys, and they're already snuck down in the right position. So my plate here has these 4 holes in it, and then I made up these soft mount setup here with a 6mm screw and a little rubber tube on there and some washers, some rubber washers, and then these of course screw into the 6mm holes up there, and there's a stack of rubber washers between the plate and the Axia. There's 4 of them, and what happened was I hard mounted it at first, and it was making a terrible creaking noise as the cage flexed. I was a bit surprised that the cage flexing that much up there, but didn't like it at all, so I soft mounted it with those rubber washers, and problem solved. But what I've got here is the back side of my radio plate, and on the front side, I haven't shot the video yet. I'm gonna shoot that next, but I'll show it first in this sequence. And there's my rugged radio and my rugged intercom, and I've just got these zip ties on here temporarily, hanging it from the roll cage. When I take the 4 screws out, it just drops down, and now I can just work on all the wiring and get it all tucked down and zip tied to the top of this. And my wiring's a rat's nest. Some of it's because I didn't want to cut all the OEM stock harnesses off the radios and everything, so I could if I cut them all and get rid of all the excess, but that's a lot of work, and it also kind of takes the radio away from the stock harnesses that are already done with plugs on them and everything. So then there's my radio antenna going up to the back. So that's it. That's the plate hanging down in its service configuration, and then I'm gonna go ahead and screw it back up to the roof, and we're gonna make another video that'll be actually in front of this video probably, about how we wired all this and routed the wiring. What's really nice on the Maverick R is you can route the wires through these tubes. So all my wiring that comes down to this front trunk here that picks up the aux battery terminals and the battery terminals is routed under this plastic and then up through these tubes. So I'm going to go over that a little bit more, and makes a really nice hidden wiring on here. Super sweet. And then my KC light bar up here that I made some brackets, some custom brackets for. All right, man, that's it for this segment.